So welcome back to the podcast. My name is Joseph Clough, and this is episode 452 if you are a Mind Mastery member, or if you are a podcast listener or via the app, this is episode 349. I hope you're doing really well today, as always, and I think I said on the last episode, I haven't been doing many podcasts recently because simply my time it's hard to come by. I mean, I work many hours of a day doing this kind of stuff, but more at a far elevated level, like on group level or one-to-one level, and it's very hard to be able to do all the things that I love in the world. But I do hope I'm going to get back on track. And once I've created all the custom hypnosis tracks for people, I really hope to be able to do far more podcasts and kind of get back into the flow of things. But we'll see how that goes. Like I said, if we get reviews and ratings on the iTunes podcast as well as the Android and iPhone, then I know that you're at the very least wanting them, and that's always nice to know. Because we've got a ton of information. Like I said, we've got 349 totally free episodes for you to consume if you want it. And of course, if you want more, just go ahead and leave that review or rating. The good thing about iTunes and Android, it doesn't have your real name or anything most of the time. You just put a username and you just leave your review however you feel about my work. And obviously, depending on those reviews, we see where we go in the future. But today I want to be talking to you about your story. Now, the reason why I want to do this today is on the 18th of November, I did a masterclass on creating your own story with my Mind Mastery members. So it's a good hour or so coaching call that we do twice per month. And also I created the Create Your Days and the Chill Out Cinematic, Tribal, and Hypnotic to be able to create the story. But I want to be able to give you some insight into this, because even if you're not in Mind Mastery, I want you to know that there are things that you can do today that will allow you to have an epiphany, a wake up, a breakthrough. Have you noticed sometimes when you're at your lowest low, that you're actually ready for a breakthrough? Every breakdown is always ready for a breakthrough, right? And I want you to know that. I want you to know wherever you are in the world, no matter what country you're in, whatever type of person you are, whatever your preferences, there's always help out there. And I want you to realize this one thing today, that your story only remains your story for as long as you give life to your story. So what do I mean by that? You see, as we go through life, we go through circumstances via our environment, right? Who we grew up with, our parents, our teachers, who we dated, the jobs that we had, the education that we had, the associations to all those things in our health, our money, our relationships, our career. All those things. We go through life, and depending on the choices that we choose consciously and unconsciously will determine our very next steps. You see, more often than not, our past at least dictates what is possible. Almost as if what we've gone through is at least a benchmark of what can happen. For example, as you know, if you have some great experiences when it comes to money, the chances are you're going to know in your heart, or at least expect, to get more money. Or if you have very bad relationships, or crippling anxiety, or business failure after business failure, that too will be an expectation. You see, your thoughts, your feelings, your ideas are really the evaluations that you are making on a daily basis, moment by moment, and based on the quality of those ideas, those evaluations of what you think is possible, what do you think is impossible for you and your life, will determine the quality of the results that you get. Does that make sense? That are based on our past experiences, who we surrounded ourselves with, and the judgments that we made because we went through those events. We'll see the world in a subjective manner, not in an objective manner, not through a clear lens, but a distorted lens. Our own reality filter based on our belief systems about ourselves, about our health, about our money, about our relationships, about our business. We have certain values. Maybe you have a very bad value when it comes to money. Living in scarcity around it, expecting debt. Maybe you have a high value for money. Now you know why that you are always seeking out the financial abundance. Maybe you have a high value for family. And each and every value will dictate how you react, what motivates you, the decisions you make, the ones you don't make. You see, those beliefs, those values, the decisions that you've made at an unconscious level will dictate how you see the world around you, the lens that you're looking through. And through all of that, we develop a story and a narrative of what we believe is true about ourselves. I mean, if you look into any book, any great book, when it comes to, say, nonfiction, or any great movie, the character has a backstory. And that backstory really builds the characteristics of that person, whether they're going through a struggle or the predicament they're in, the environment they're in, is a backstory. And more often than not, they hold true to that backstory. They hold true that this is their life, and then something shatters their world. An event, a situation which suddenly causes them to go on a journey of self-discovery, where even along the lines, along the way, they actually find a deeper truth, but that's for another day. But they go through that story. They are challenging their own story of what is possible and what is impossible. They can hold on to it so tight until they have that breakdown and then that breakthrough. Now let's put it into your context, because everything is based on context, right? The structure of the situation. Consider your story. What story do you speak about most? Ask yourself, do you speak about the struggle? Do you really radiate and speak about the reasons as to why you are like you are? Is your story empowering or disempowering? Is it one of abundance or one of scarcity? One of love or fear? And only you will know that. You will know the type of story that you speak about most in your mind and to even those you interact with even. Like if you notice the type of common situations you have with your best friend, what things are you talking about most? What are the reasons? What are the stresses, the struggles that tend to be the backstory, but also the present theme in your life? You see, I used to have a story. I used to have a story that I wasn't good enough. I had a story that whatever happened to me, I would feel the deep, deep anxiety and crippling fear and doubt in all that I did. In fact, I had the belief that because I dropped out of school at 18 years old, I would never make it anywhere. Now, I held on to that story for many years, and you know I've told about my story, about who I am, how I came about into doing what I do. If not, check it out on previous episodes. but I held onto it as if it was the only thing that mattered, the only thing that was guiding me to where I was heading. You see, that story that we hold on to, that we speak about most or we think about most, becomes true. In fact, we look for reasons to validate that story. Have you noticed that? When something doesn't go your way, you might go, well, that's just my luck. This is my story. This is who I am. If it's going to happen, it's going to happen to me. You look for validations for keeping yourself stuck, maybe. The reasons as to why things don't change. Notice that. Notice if that is true for you at times. And it can be about every area of your life, or it could be just in one specific context. Maybe money, maybe your health, maybe your spirituality, your development. Whatever it is, whether it's on the grander scale or a specific aspect that you want to take control of. Become conscious of the stories that you tell yourself. Become conscious of that unconscious program of that story. Because that story will come with so many mindsets, beliefs, feelings, experiences, decisions, and values, which are ultimately directing you on the path that you're heading. Now, the good news is, like every movie, every great book, you can be the hero that changes the course to something better. And you're always one decision away from that breakthrough. One decision away to just stop speaking that old story, where you go on the inside and you say, I refuse to be the person of my past. But today is a new day. Today is where I create my story. Because sometimes I think about legacy. Living a purposeful life. And when I think about my old story, I see no purpose in there at all. If I stayed the same, that is. When I think of legacy, if I remained rooted to that old story, the legacy I would leave would be nothing remarkable in my eyes. But now, I've gone through my story. It's a part of my life and I use it for reference, but I use it as a way of how I can be different in this world, how I can allow those old issues to be the thing which made me wake up to who I am today, right now, in every way. We always have a choice. You have a choice. And I want you to feel if that resonates with you. If you're getting this. If it's time to speak of a new story. Where you accept something new into your life. Where you begin to understand that there's something more for you. You see, it's all there. It's always within you. So make the choice to speak up the real story of you. The story that you choose to create. Not based on fear, not based on doubt, but based on, here I am, world. I'm going to make this the best day ever by being the most authentic person I can possibly be. So make that decision right now. And then when you're ready to make that change, make it. Do whatever you can. Take massive inspired action. And for more information about me, go to josephclough.com and you'll find lots of information there. So have a most wonderful day and I'll speak to you soon. Many thanks and goodbye.